but the intensive healing that has occurred within me, through this process has been so deep and heavy and so fulfilling. And there's no way that I could have moved through, the why of why I signed up for this course without going through all of this stuff that this course leads you through. And so, again, you're my little angel and have shown up just in time. Yeah, own it, girl.
I've
Um,
taken it in right now,
to
trying not to break down crying, but I
I
hear it.
just I can't express how grateful I am for you in my journey through all of this. My toxic thoughts were, overwhelmed, which at times led into I get overwhelmed because I felt like not good enough. So it was like this back and forth between the two. And then doing all of the work, I can't believe the stuff that came up through that and the stuff that I was able to like feel, acknowledge, let go, and move through and get past to get to the point where I can make a choice to, not be overwhelmed, to make different decisions and choices. Um, I thank you so much for this opportunity and to be in this group of all of you lovely people. And the thing that I really enjoyed about the group is everybody's vulnerability and sharing the deepest, darkest secrets of as to why we're in here. I mean, it's not something we walk around telling people, that all of this, it was the vulnerability and the connection and everything that goes with it.
So my active reach is I can handle all situations better if I remain calm, and it's good to have needs and to voice them. And I feel like I've really embodied that through this whole process. Like I feel like I was constantly living with like anxiety and like anger and frustration. And I feel like through this process now, it's such a choice for me. Like every day, it's like, oh, I can choose to just not be anxious and mad, which feels crazy to me. Like if you told me that I could just choose that before we started this, I'd be like, no, I can't. And now I can. And like I am thinking more deeply about that. I'm like, okay, I'm a calm person now and I'm not anxious and angry and like what else about like what other things could I do that would embody that type of person? And I decided to start lifting weights because I was like, a calm person is a strong person, so I'm going to start lifting weights, and that's helped me even more. So it's been just a really huge positive change for me this whole process. So I'm really appreciative.
Because I felt like, I have been really low last year, like really low. And, I was kind of, my experience is kind of, just when I'm climbing out of that is when you put out the call for the neurocycle. And I think that if I didn't see some of the things that I saw through doing this process, I could be, and I mean, who knows, maybe, but I could have been setting myself up for another like dip back down because like I see these behaviors where, the minute I'm feeling better, I kind of load on everything. And, the other day I kind of stepped back from something that that I really wanted to do, that I really wanted to take on, but I just had that kind of like, do I have the energy to take it on right now? And my answer was, I would like to have the energy, but the truth is I don't have the energy right now. So I backed off, and I don't think I would have done that before. Like, I think that's new. It's been really good. And my toxic thought was, I'm not good enough. Um, so during the neurocycle, the other thing that I took on was, for whatever reason, was to join this stand-up comedy group. I don't know why. And so I got on stage last Thursday and did my like set in front of paying people. And I think before neurocycle, I could have probably pushed myself through it. I would have been subtly terrorized and really nervous. I think I was still nervous, but I went into it like the day of, and I was like, can there be a little fun? Like, can I make a tiny room for fun, right? So, and I think this, like, I'm not good enough, that perfectionist, all that dismantling helped me when I was on stage. It was like there was a little room for fun there, which I think has never, it's never even been part of the equation. I feel like my way of doing things was just to aggressively push myself into things and like hang on for the ride.
Just what Callie was saying about realizing that you can choose. Like, I just can't believe that that like that's happened for me too, and I just can't, like, it just is amazing to me that you know like a trigger can happen, and I've been able to take a step back, either breathe or look at it from the outside, or um, picture all my little beasties in, behind those windows, and really be like, that's okay. There they are. I don't have to let that bother me. Yeah, I've never done anything like this before, and I know I have a lot of things I've been wanting to deal with over the years, and this has sort of been my first step, and so it's been a little scary.
Yep.
Being in a group like this, because my instinct is to not share and not put myself out there in a situation like this. So it's been really good.
But for most of us, doing something like this app or this neurocycle process, I know for myself, if I got listened to the podcast and got inspired by the podcast and downloaded the app, I probably wouldn't stick to it. And so having this group has been, well, for one, Green is my wife, and so we're kind of, sharing that. But just doing it as a group, I think, has been great. One, for just the accountability, it's just knowing, you are part of this group. We are going to meet once a week, and okay, I'm going to stick to it. And so that's been great. And just hearing all your stories and kind of sharing the experience. It's not just this solitary thing, has also been a really wonderful part of it for me. I have felt like a really big shift. Like I said last week, it's for me, a big part of it was kind of really identifying my triggers that I hadn't really identified before. And well, it's the triggers, and then the initial things when I come in contact with the trigger, the initial things that I might notice in myself, um, which normally is not so much like a body sensation, but it's emotional, like a feeling of a burden or a heaviness or whatever. Um, I feel like I've just gained a lot more awareness around that, so that now, I mean, I really do feel like my neural pathways are different. Uh, I get triggered, things come up. Like lately, I've been working on taxes, which has kind of been a trigger and brought a bunch of stuff up. And it's just been so much easier to just be aware of, oh, okay, that's a trigger, and why, and where is it making me want to go, and just flipping it around. And like I've said before, I'm trying to not only just not do the toxic thought, but as much as I can flip it all away on its head and go all the way into gratitude if I can, which I can't always, but I'm trying to do that. Just at least stop the toxic thought pattern and go into trust has been the main thing for me. Go into trust, and if I can, go into gratitude. And it's, yes, really noticed the shift in pattern, and it does feel like it's, to some degree ingrained. Like it is, I'm sure it's a continuing journey and all, but It doesn't feel like work so much. It feels like, oh, I find myself catching myself and shifting it. And so, yeah, super grateful for that. And like I said, grateful to kind of share the journey with you all and hear all your stories. And it's been a pleasure.
So this has been really a great process. It was much easier for me than I thought, but it is really interesting. So now that I'm just don't get overwhelmed by anything anymore, I can really watch and observe so much more dispassionately. And I'm getting a lot more information coming in now, because if information is coming in and yet it's short circuited by a reaction, that's it. You don't get any more information. And so you could jump to conclusions and go off the deep end. There's a lot of things that can happen with overwhelm, but chances are you aren't getting the deeper level of information. So now I'm really watching. I've become an astute observer, kind of myself, but and of other people too. Well, and that's really kind of how I'm using neurocycle right now. Is now that I'm watching more closely and I'm really seeing people's thoughts and reactions and behaviors. Um, it's okay to be hurt by some of the things they do or don't do or what they say. But what I'm realizing is become a more dispassionate observer. I'm not getting overwhelmed, but don't let myself go into this place of hurt, because I'm seeing a lot more than I was before. So yeah, this was the impetus that I needed to break through.
First of all, I want to say thank you so much, Corina. This has been a godsend how you popped up out of the blue in my email, I think. I'm not the same person that I was when I showed up here, and I just seem to these days be living my life trying to be in the moment and looking at trials and tests that come along quite dispassionately by putting them behind the windows and just saying, oh, look at that. What do I want to do? Probably nothing. And I will tell you, I learned something new this week about how the depth of which this has gone into my life. And that is that here we are again in another freaking war. And the last time this happened, I was a nervous wreck because my son was very young and like during the Gulf Wars, I think. And I just spent weeks crying, worried that someday he'd have to go off to war, and worried about all the kids and all of the people. And it's really horrible what's happening now. And the position that I find myself in is watching dispassionately with great passion for suffering and not going into any of the old freak out, overwhelm, anxiety, crazy that has been the MO that ran my life up until this course. And that is really different for me. It's like I keep aware of what's going on day by day, but so far I'm just really good and peaceful and accepting, and that's a huge difference. So thanks again, Corina. I would probably be a nervous wreck if I hadn't have been here.
I think the work we're doing these things, creates so much more, I don't know what to call it. It's not necessarily peace, but it's empowerment. It's energy. It's a vibration that we bring into the world. And I believe, similar to you, Sherry, I would have been a nervous wreck. I would have been like following everything and reading everything and the Epstein files and this is going on. Nothing. Like I'm now able to literally be a lighthouse. Like in some ways, I see myself as a grounded, sane lighthouse in the world of evil and darkness. And I am shining my little butt off. I am just shining my little butt off. And I'm putting energy into the world to contribute to love, peace, raising of consciousness, freedom. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I feel like, and I think this is the biggest work we can do as human souls on this planet. And I do feel like we came here at this time in these bodies onto this planet for a reason. And I feel, and you don't have to believe this, but I think that it's the ones of us who can hold light that are not only an example for other people, but we're holding a vibration on the planet that is needed. And there are so many other people, which the media will not report on. There are so many people out there, you guys, that are doing what we do, that are holding the light, that are doing the work. And it gives me goosebumps because I think it's an amazing thing.